All right, Islam, and welcome to Sisters Standing on Law. This is your host, Anita L., along with my co-host, Mariah Bay.
Islam, peace and love to all. Now, I'm laughing because I accidentally dropped out, and then I called back in and forgot to press 1, so I realized it might not have found me.
Well, I'm laughing because I was running around, getting ready, washing dishes, putting stuff away.
That music will help you do that. Yeah,
thank God for 8 minutes of music.
Yeah, you can think of things to do in 8 minutes, like, vacuum the floor real quick or whatever. It's like, this is the time. I know exactly what you're saying. I was feeling that same way, straightening up stuff, trying to find more space to do work, all that is going down.
Yes.
It's
all right.
Wonderful because this is what women do, right?
Yes, it's wonderful. It's warm. It's like 40-something degrees. Spring. The spring equinox is slowly rolling in, and I am so happy.
Oh, yeah, for real. Yeah, we're 55 here now. Yeah. I remember after that.
Look at you.
Oh, yes, because after it was cold, we had like 17 inches of snow in places where doesn't usually get anywhere near that. I remember it being like 14 degrees, feeling like 7, as they say. And the day, it was a Monday, I believe it was last Monday, when it turned to 34 degrees, we were like, oh, wow, that's great. 34 is warm compared to, look, we're at 55 now. Anyway, moving along.
Yeah. I know a lot of people think we're crazy when we hoot and holler about 30 and 40 degrees. It's a wonderful thing when you've had single-digit temperatures and even in some cases below zero temperature,
Yeah.
So, wonderful thing. I thought I was going to have to buy another winter coat for a minute there.
And you know what, you may. But listen to this also. What we had here up in the Northeast, and where you are a little bit, we're along the same corridor, really. But the South.
No, we're not.
Well, no, we're not.
We're not.
It's all relative.
There's a serious cross current at a certain point on 95 that drastically changes the temperature. So I'm on the northern side of 95, and I'm on the northern side of that cross current. So it's like on my side, it could be a blizzard. But once you get on the other side of the cross current, it could be sunny, no snow. That's how it's like you walk through the door, for real.
Exactly. I get you on that one. Yeah. Well, the South is experiencing these frigid things that they're not used to at all.
Yes, I heard. That's amazing. It's like telling you stuff is changing. There's been so many prophecies talking about how the climate was going to change, the North was going to be warm, the South was going to get cold. Mm-hmm. And, of course, you have that prophecy that the South will have to pay. So everything is coming to fruition. And with all of this coming to fruition, the one thing that has to happen is people on a whole, Moors and those other people, need to wake up. Wake up. Today's broadcast is entitled, Are You a Member by Trickery or Voluntarily? Now, the syllabus reads human trafficking. Every corporation is playing this particular game, and there are many. Do you know another word for corporation, company/corporation? Here is a clue. If it is not solid landmass, it's a company/corporation. Trickery using words like government, federal government, state government, local government, which is a municipal corporation that do not even try to hide who they are. Do you think you were dealing with a judge in a court? Do you think that the president of the United States Corporation has any relevance to you? You were always dealing with nothing but a company, employees of said company. And lack of study equals you've been tricked. Wake up. Now, this whole concept for this broadcast came about because I was watching a series, and in the series, the mother was trying to get her son out of what is today called Morocco, which is the Kingdom of Morocco, said he could live and move freely. And she purchased citizenship for Spain, and the son was able to leave Morocco as well as go back and forth. This clarified even more that people all around the world are being held hostage by companies that call themselves country, government, federal, state, even obvious municipal corporation. Called local government, tell the people that you are dealing at all times with companies, employees of companies. When they say things like you must have state, federal, and now on this North American continent local identification in order to travel, they are saying you need our permission to do anything. This also brought to mind a year or so ago, there was a news caption that read, more and more people are relinquishing their U.S. citizenship than ever before. I also remember many modern Europeans converting to some form of Chinese or Japanese citizenship, which I believe is still Chinese citizenship, Republic of China. With this, I realized that what people are doing is requesting to be members of these companies. And when they ask you, what is your citizenship status, they are asking, what company do you belong to? Now, you may not be aware of that, but that's what they're asking you. What company do you belong to? Also, when people apply usually for political asylum, they are requesting one company handle the removal of the individual from one company, from another company, which may be hostile to the other company. The reason for the hostility is that all companies, regardless of what they call themselves, have no gross national product anymore. No tobacco, fishery, timber that can sustain what has blossomed into monster corporations. So they play a monopoly game with the people. What does this mean? Every state, federal, country, all corporations are engaging in human trafficking. Now, what is really ridiculous is that today you have people, including Moors, recording that they want to be removed from the U.S. Corporation and any alleged money be transferred along with a claim to their body to the Republic of China and in some cases other corporations. What's really ridiculous is in order for anyone to be classified as a citizen/member of any corporation, you have to go through their membership process and be approved. Regardless of what you do, you are participating in your own human trafficking, as outside of the landmass you are dealing with corporations, companies. Interestingly enough, when anyone asks you for the birth certificate and or social security instrument, they are attempting to play in the same human trafficking game. This is a way to get into the marketplace and play using humans as cargo, all done using words of art, and you thought you knew words. if you really comprehended what you were dealing with, you would enter national and international suits against these corporations for human trafficking in order to free yourself. And once you accomplish to some degree that, teach others. Study, 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 else you will be put right back in slavery, sometimes by your own business feathers, but not exclusively your own. Islam?
Not exclusively your own, because this is a corporate games. This is corporations and corporate takeovers. Now, it's interesting what you said, because I do know, and we've talked about this before, and believe me, there are so many people doing it. We know what we're seeing. We don't have to say it for you who are listening to know it as well, because some of you may be a part to it or may know of someone who has done it or done it yourself and or thinking about doing it, or the birth certificate redemption and all, what they title is birth certificate redemption. It's really corporate, what do you call it, moving corporate products or human trafficking, like you said. When it comes to you being a flesh and blood being, which you claim you are, and that's what makes it so bad, is that people are, tripping over themselves, some of them, to get to make that claim so that they can go and do a birth certificate redemption. The two, it's just ridiculous. And the other portion, like you said, some are doing it to gain finance. So now let me ask this. What makes them think that there's finance there? Is that something that was dangled in front of them? Or is it because they think that these corporations have made a bond against what their mother called them, but not against them at all? If you're a flesh and blood being, then no one's going to change the defense nature, and you're not up on Wall Street, you're sitting in a chair right now. So that's like ludicrous thinking. However, I'm trying to understand what makes them think that there's finance that they would gain. No, before you answer that, Anna, if you can, some are doing it not because, and we're going to cover that, not because they think there's finance they can gain, but just because they think they're being free. And you just showed how you're not being free. You're, in fact, when you go at that third leg of that process, which is to the Secretary of the Department of State, after you've gone to the Secretary of the specific state, and that will happen after you've gone to the county level and showed your birth certificate and or your identification that's attached to that, which is usually a birth certificate, although that's not proof of identification, that's proof of human trafficking. So once you do that on the local level, then you go to the Secretary of State and get an apostille, which is nothing more. An apostille means a glorified notary, really. Then on the Secretary of the Department of State, the third leg, these are John, they ask you where you're going to use this, and many people will go to, say, China, Antigua, or wherever, anywhere but here. Not that you would say here, because if you're tied to this land, you don't need any processes. You're already tied. That's what the whole claiming your nationality is about. If you're ancestral state, you're the Aboriginal and Indigenous people. So if you claim that you're Aboriginal and Indigenous, what makes you think you need to say that you're going to be utilizing a funk somewhere outside of the land in which you are Aboriginal to? It all of it doesn't make sense. But I guess they make it sound like it makes sense. What we're saying to you is that's all corporate processes, all of it. They're shuffling you as that's human trafficking. That's what it is. So some are doing it to just think they're going to make themselves free. But where is it that they think there's money to be made, money to be gained? And are there some people who said that they have received money? Like they'll allow, or finance, they'll allow some people when they first do this process to get through the door. But after that, they shut it off, and while everybody is funneling through it, the way to go, they think. That's when you find out that, what you thought you were gaining, you're not, because it is what it is. So I'm asking you, where is it that they think there's finance there to gain over this human trafficking process? Is it because they think that someone else is making finance over them, so therefore they're going to get involved, which means they're involving themselves in human trafficking themselves, as you just said. So can you answer that in terms of where they think this finance is that they're going to get?
Well, back in like 2008, actually before that, I became aware of it in 2008. Some modern Europeans was they would take various sequences of numbers, whether it was the SSN or some digits on the birth certificate, which people are alleging is a bond, and they would go into the fidelity system and enter it into the fidelity system, and some kind of information would come up. Now, and so based on what that information came up saying, people made the assumption that they had been valued at that amount of money. Now, here's the problem. What I just explained is human trafficking. And it's human trafficking. But there is nothing to tie those random digits that anybody can use within their system. Like I can create a company and create a random series of digits, and randomly, it's going to possibly be the same as what you're referring to as your Social Security number or the number that's on the birth record. There's no monopoly on those random series of digits. In order for you to prove that is associated with you, you have to come with more than just some random series of digits. So what people have done, usually modern Europeans, because if they don't do nothing, modern Europeans study and then they get together and they show other modern Europeans how to do what they did. Almost every single modern European, and I think last year was the most recent one, who tried to allege that these random series of digits equaled some sort of financial dollar amount, and as such retrieve it through some alleged claim. Every last one of them was, they were kidnapped. They were charged with various types of fraud, and most of them went to jail for X amount of years. Almost every last one of them went to jail. I don't know of any that did not go to jail. And I believe last year you had a European daughter and a European son, recently do the same thing. And last I heard they had gotten kidnapped and taken to prison. Now, what a lot of people don't understand is because they have absolute misinformation, and much of what they're running on is none of it can be substantiated with verifiable documentation. They make this assumption that a company, the United States is a company. That company was lawfully established in 1774. Now, it doesn't matter what it is operating as today. It doesn't matter because it's the same company. Now, they look at the United States as some authority who can tell people what they can and cannot do. They look at states and the Commonwealth as a company that can tell people what they can and cannot do. They look at municipal corporations, school government, as employees that can tell people what they can and cannot do. And because the vast majority of people have not gone back and done the research and the history into how these companies first got started, every last company in operation alleged to be an American company, all of those companies came out of the first company, which is the Virginia company. That's very well documented. How is it? Now, the Virginia company signed on to the American Constitution, which affirmed that they will now engage in slavery, which today is called human trafficking. Now, if the people really wanted to be in charge of their own lives and destiny, they would be charging these companies who violate their liberties at every turn with human trafficking. Instead, they try to get in on the human trafficking game. Once you try to get inside a company's infrastructure and then try to use their infrastructure to generate income, that's called fraud. It's really not. It's really fraud. It really is fraud because you're not a part of their infrastructure. You can't even prove that you're a part of their infrastructure. Everything that people are running on is based on assumption and hearsay and speculation. And all of that equals...
Can I ask right here? Is it because they actually believe that they are governmenting them or have authority over them, and they are quote unquote government without no government? That's why they do it. They're like, oh, the government.
They think, oh, they're a government. No, they're a company. Okay, as a company, started as a company, they're still a company. Now, if you want to prove human trafficking, which is that's the modern word for slavery, then you can't participate in your own enslavement and then try to make money off of your own enslavement using a system that is based on slavery, and then think that you have clean hands. You're never going to have clean hands. The whole operation is based on unclean hands. And then what's crazy is people are sending in writs talking about, this non-big written with unclean hands. And they're participating in the unclean activity.
Instead of claiming or proclaiming their position, which is what this is all about.
Yep.
You're right.
It's crazy because it's Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, if I can just get you to thinking, you would free yourself. Now, how come nobody had these logical thoughts based on research and the reading that we have done, which is documented in the journal of every company today referred to as a state? How come nobody sat down and thought this out? Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he said 50 years will go by and you'll not know what I bought you. And another 50 years will go by and you still won't know what I bought you. Here we are over 100 years later, and still we have not figured out what it is that he brought us. We have people running around thinking Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought us a municipal corporation. What? It's very clear what he brought us. He wrote it in the 101, and he wrote it in the prophecies and the statements, and he wrote it in the Holy Quran. If you have just those three, you got it.
Yes.
That's just for the basic mentality of people. The 101 is for the basic mentality of people coming out initially from the enslavement. And then the prophecies and the statements in the Quran, and then The Brotherhood of the East, which is the Red Book, is for a higher degree of people. It takes you into science.
Mm-hmm.
But look at, you got these books sitting around. Nobody's reading them, or they talk like nobody is reading them, because there's no way in hell Noble Drew Ali would have brought us a municipal corporation, because now what you're saying is that Noble Drew Ali was trying to get in on the human trafficking game just like the municipal corporations.
And that's a travesty to even think. That's a travesty.
And all of these companies that came over here, do you know that if you go into the old archives of some of these companies, they say, for example, New York in America, private laws of New York in America, the private laws of New York in the laws of Massachusetts in America. That's like saying the private laws of Toyota in America.
Mm-hmm.
And these companies are still functioning on those private laws. Now, when all of these companies talk about trading with the enemy, they are not talking about the people in a private capacity. They're talking about other companies. For example, Obama just instituted some sort of, actually not Obama. A lot of people don't even know this because they don't pay attention to some of these documentaries, the news media. Don't look at the news that the alleged news that they're giving you on the TV, because that's not news. That's propaganda. You have to go, thank goodness for the internet, because you can go around the world and find out what's happening right outside your door. That so-called local media is not even reporting on. Why isn't the local media reporting on it? Because the local media is owned and operated by the state, local, and in some cases, federal company. Mm-hmm. Right? So now, most people don't even know that the United States established an embargo on certain Chinese products. Because, see, China don't like the United States. The United States don't like China. They have a love-hate relationship. And then it just went out through the roof when they dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. So China has been trying to get back at the United States company ever since they dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. So, of course, China's been messing with the United States' ability to play in the marketplace. So the United States said, we ain't doing business with China in certain avenues. And they've been doing this propaganda where they're trying to slander anything coming out of China. Now, so certain products that the United States said we will not trade with because you're interfering with the local European companies' ability to bring their product to the marketplace. So if other European companies decide to ignore that embargo and go and deal with China in certain of those marketplaces, that's trading with the enemy. But you got these conspiracy theorist people talking about, because you functioning in your private capacity, you're considered an enemy of the state, trading with the enemy. Trading what? What are you trading? The majority of the people, Aboriginal, Indigenous, or on this land, they have no merchandise. No merchandise. Nothing. Not industrious at all. What you trading with the enemy with? What are you trading with the enemy? Give me a break.
They're doing commerce, but you have no product.
Exactly, no product. none of these companies has a gross national product because they have created these monster companies that have far outpaced the tobacco industry. And then because they don't know how to work in harmony with nature, the tobacco industry has stripped the land of the essential nutrients to continue growing tobacco. So they don't have a gross national product anymore. But this has all been prophesied. In the prophecies and the statement, it says nobody is going to do business with the United States unless it goes through a Moor. And then it says that the whole industry of the United States is going to shut down, and when it starts back up, it's going to be in the hands of the Moors. Now, let me tell you, all you Moors keying right now behind that particular prophecy, if you don't know how to sustain yourself, you're going to be going down along with them.
Yes. Well, that brings us to the current, if I may interject that at this point, of this quote unquote, and I do mean to put quote unquote government shutdown. Now, you just was told they are a corporation. So I read the headlines of this article that was sent to me, and I think you got it too. Miss sent it to you, me, Cujo. Now, the headlines say certain services will not be available during this time. Along with that, there's a furlough on their employees, so they're going to suffer, all right? You know, it says that they'll get proactive pay once this is over. Be over. This is it, all right? Because first, and here's why. Because you, the people, recognize now, I trust, they are not the government authority over the people. It says certain services. That means they're doing services. Anybody can do a service. The only thing you can even trade with or sell with or exchange, however you're going to do it, is either a product or a service. So they're telling you that you think as government that there's certain services that won't be available. What more do you need to know that they are a corporation other than looking it up and finding out when they were established, and that although they may have established, as you said, as a company in 1774 and changed their name throughout it or whatever like that, and then got the people to call them their government as well, and they may have changed the name, incorporated later, as you said, as they grew, they incorporated more stuff and more, companies together or whatever like that. They are still who they are, and they are not, quote unquote, the governing authority over the people. That is who they are not. Now, what makes it even more interesting for me when I read it says some of the things that will not be availed, and on the top of the list, people, was making of passports. And I'm like, wow, they weren't supposed to be making passports anyway. They're the immigrants. And you're not supposed to go to them to ask to be able to pass through the land, and or specifically ports means the ship. So right there, a passport is what it is. It's for passing through the port, not traveling on the land or going from one point to the next. How do they take the ability that they were given to pass through the ports freely from the treaty, by the way, and then turn that into something that is applied to the human flesh and blood people? You need to think about that. This is what we need to, get you to thinking. However, over the generations and years, we have accepted it as such. We have given them, what that turns out to is we've given them an authority that they really do not have. But they have it by us giving it to them, which in law is called tacit agreement. And then you go to Bill of Rights 1, and you have the right to associate with whoever you choose. So you've chosen to associate and give authority to a corporation, a company, and call them your governing authority that will tell you what you cannot do, can and cannot do. So when they make these executive orders or these rules or these statutes or these policies that they will call law within, like you said, private law within their corporation, you think that it's for you, and it never, ever, ever was for you. But because the people do that, now they've gained the trust of the people. They've gained through trickery. But then again, nobody forced you to do that. Even though your mama did it, your mama's mama did it, or whatever. Don't make it change what it is. You got to see things for what it is. So now the quote-unquote resistance that the people are having towards it, well, of course they're going to be unhappy because we just told you they don't have a product. They are a company. They were trying to make you the product on paper, though, right? And remember, no one can change your descent nature. And if you're talking about being a flesh and blood, living, breathing, flesh and blood being, then, you would know that can't happen. Other than what you agreed to, then that's the whole reason of making, of declaring, meaning being clear, and then proclaiming, so that you make that proclamation. That's a lawful notice, not a contract. So that's the whole point of it. That's the whole point. So now that they have, the government has, the quote-unquote government has shut down, do you still need to eat today? Yes. Are you still going to need shelter today? Yes. The services, top one services they don't have is the passport. That's good because they ought not be issuing it anyway. However, they can issue it to those who are members / citizens of their company, because that's all that they can ever. Any company, any corporation can only dictate an issue to corporations, not flesh and blood beings. Not flesh and blood beings. They can't tell the people what to do. They're not your governing authority. They do. Now, we talk about this word delegation. Oh, well, delegation of authority. Why are y'all talking that? Because if you read the law of this land, everything is delegated. And what is not delegated belongs and is retained to you. It's right there. And also, that's Amendment 9 or Bill of Rights 9. And then 11 does the same thing for state, because this state is a corporation and they have the right to do what they want to do within their company. That's all it means. And if you're not a citizen / member of that, member / citizen, same thing in this context, it still does not apply to you. So when they say, well, we're Amendment 11, they'll say, they try to use that as if anything that they make up is, or anything that's not in the Constitution is retained to them, just as 9 tells you it's retained to you, the people, the natural people. 11 does that for that company. But that doesn't mean that company has issued anything or can say or do anything that applies to you. And because when we go back again, we think they are, in fact, quote unquote, our governing authority, we go along with it. And it's all based on lack of knowledge of finding out who is who and what is what. And so a corporation can only issue to other corporations. So we bring that down to, what is it? And I think they with the Real ID Act, let's face it, guys, think about it. They say to you, now this is a good food for thought. And we talked about this just I think yesterday. They say you have to have a state ID. I want you to take a second and answer this. Where would you go get a state ID? States don't issue IDs. Now they have an agency of the state called the Division of Motor Vehicles or whatever they call it in your area, right? DMV, whatever, right? But that's a division for the purpose of issuing or administrating. That's why they're administrative courts and not judicial ones. the driver's license program, which is a federal program. Think about it. That's an agency to issue those instruments only for those who are drivers. And a driver means you're getting behind the wheel, starting up the engine, pressing the gas, because you are going to be compensated for doing such. You are being compensated. Now you are a driver. You're carrying goods, cargo, passengers, etc., like that. That's what it is. So now, if that's the case, then I still ask you to ask yourself, where do you get a state ID? Because if you got to go to the DMV to get it, that's an agency specifically for the administration of those who are driving. That's not a state ID. So here's the funny part. The driver's license program is a federal program. And guess what they're doing now to try to, as a result of this 2000, by the end of 2017, they have to come up with, the states, quote, have to come up with an ID. They're telling them they must put on those driver's instruments non-federal. So what are they saying to you? They're telling you that that's not a federal ID because they already know what it is. It's a driver's license instrument for those who are being compensated for driving. But now people who don't know and who have not studied will not catch that. All right? Because truthfully, if the state were to issue an ID, it would never, ever, 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 ever a national ID. Because they're not national. They're companies, number one. And even if they were working from the republic position, they're still not national. They're just not. So you can't say you're a national and then go and get a inferior anything issued to you. So this is what's coming to the head now. I don't know, and what we're saying here is so simplified. It appears that way maybe to those who know, right? Those who have studied. But those who have not taken the time up to this, even the basic study, I say to you, I curse you not, but the universe is going to kick your ass. Trust me, it's not the European or the so-called white man that's going to do it to you, honey. It's not. It's the great God of the universe that is going to do that to you because you didn't study. So my people will say, well, it's not our fault because it doesn't matter. Nature does not have respect for person or station. This is natural. This is why, this is about divinity. This is divine law. This is nature's law. This is natural stuff. What you're dealing with and thinking is government, we just told you they're corporations. You can go find out for yourself. They're not anything divine for you at all. They are what they are. And it's all coming to a head. So they shut down. They can't make passports. Great. So now does that mean that people don't have a right to go to and fro? No, because they never had the authority on that in the first place. So in a way, I'm glad they can't make them. They shouldn't. Listen, this is what's going to happen to you. Because you can listen to what we're saying, you can listen to what someone else is saying, you can listen to whatever it is you're going to listen to. You can read whatever you're going to read. But it is only until it awakens in you that you're going to get it. And I didn't even tell you this, but yesterday, and then I'm going to yield, yesterday I was in a store, Staples, and I was not there to uplift no one in terms of having no conversation. I don't even do that anymore. But what is happening now is that this nationality, truth, and national principles are on the front burner, the side burner, and the back burner. Because this other crap is gone. It's fallen, and if you're still holding on to it, it's equivalent to what was written in the scriptures, that the quote-unquote devil, that means lower self-activity, which means human trafficking intent, because that would be lower self-activity and all that goes with it, is going to the pit. Do you hear me? And it will drag as many people as it can when it goes. So if you don't let go of that, you're going down also. I get it now I get it now where it says, well, you personally might be able to count on one hand 5 people that you know that understand the concepts and the fundamentals of it. You personally, I might be able to, you won't even be able to count 5, and neither can we, all right? But everyone can count no more than 5. So that's what's happening, because it's not because you're not chosen, because you choose yourself, because it's going down. That these things that are not in the principles of love, which is the first principle of truth, of peace, of freedom, and then justice being done, are going down. What more can we say? Now, you and I or anyone does not recognize what that is, you going down too. This is just the way it is. That's what's happening. So, and this has already been told, written. You know, like if you don't know what lower self is, read the 101. It describes what lower self is. Therefore, what lower self activities are. Therefore, what people call the devil, which is really not the devil, because if you're looking for your savior, you look within. If you're looking for your devil, you look within. It is your lower self and others for devil is. It's lived spelled backwards, to be honest with you. So you're either going to live in your higher self or you're going to live in your lower self. And the lower self stuff is at a cycle now where it's getting washed down the drain and all that is associated with it. And if that includes you, so be it. If it includes me, so be it. That is what is happening. And if you know that and focus on that, then you will be able to make any adjustments and corrections that you need to make, because that's all that it is. It's all in the mind. So with that, we see, for instance, like lastly, people are out here. You got MHHS that's just sickening and sad, sickening and sad, sickening and sad. Unstudied people who had all the information before most of you listening got it. Before most of us who got this later, had it, they had it in the class, or they had it in their little, whatever, their little Sunday schools, if it was 5, 10, or 1 people there, whatever. This information was there already. They're saying that you are to be a citizen of the U.S.A. So now I say to you, the U.S.A. just shut down. So what happens now? Are they still a citizen/member? Think about it. Just get to thinking, because the U.S.A., the corporation, a company operating your ancestral estate tied with your status in the state, and they are operating upon it. They are not tied to the land. People do not come and fly from other places to come to the U.S.A. Propaganda tells you on TV that they do. That's what they say, but they don't. They come to North America, South America, Central. They are not coming to the USA. Your TV tells you that. And your TV and that propaganda for generations has been inputted in the brain, which is what this come to bring you out of this mental slavery is all about. So what to do is to get to thinking, because man is mind. That's why I yield.
All right. All right. So let's see. Let us take some callers.
Yeah, 72 o'clock.
Huh?
I said time cycles is moving. Mercury has got wings on them, man.
Yeah. It's 2 o'clock, and we got another hour left for this broadcast with the internet feed. So if anyone has a question, comment, concern, press 1 on your telephone dial, and we'll take calls in the order that we receive them. Now, there's one thing that I do want to say before we start taking calls.
Mm-hmm.
This information, everybody needs to get it. But one of the most important people that needs to get this is mother. That's why we spell it out, but, we really can spell it out even more on Sisters Standing on Law, because the sisters got to get this. You're the ones that had the egg. You're the ones with the nation in the womb. And you're the ones bringing the nation here. So if you don't know this, then you can't pass this down to your children. It has to first be in you. Your children, it doesn't matter whether they're male or female, your children, they are simply a reflection or a duplication of you. And so if you don't have it, then whatever you duplicate is not going to have it. And I can tell you just from my own experience, everything happens exactly when it's supposed to happen, but how much different would my life have been if I was born knowing this? And this is a question that we all need to ask ourselves. How much different would our lives have been if we were born knowing this, as opposed to getting here and finding it out?
Wow. And that's what this is really all about.
And not finding it out through our families. We didn't find it out through our families. For some reason, some of us go on a search, and some of us remain, stuck in the lie. Or I should say many of us stay stuck in the lie. And I guess that's where that saying, many are called but few are chosen, comes from. And it's not that somebody comes and chooses you. You choose yourself. Many people in a place of lack of information, because they see everybody else doing the same thing, struggling the same, and they think, this is normal. Just because a lot of people is doing the same thing does not mean it is normal. It just means a lot of people have missing information. That's it. And so
that's right.
I didn't get this from my parents. I didn't get this from any institution that I attended. I didn't get it from any church that I went to. I found this because I read and 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 I read. And I've always read, and I've read all sorts of books on all sorts of topics. And most of them were, most of them were not novels. But to be honest with you, it's crazy because I would read metaphysical books, books on law, books on history, and sometimes these books required your entire brain to follow what's being said. And so when I finished a book, I used to relax and read what is called a historical romance. Now, what was crazy is many of these historical romances, they're called historical because they literally weave a romance in the literal history that is written around the world. So I was learning history while thinking I was giving my brain a break. Every history that I have read was it was documented in the bibliography of the historical romance book. And I can go to the archives around the world and I can find the proof of this information. So even when I thought I was giving my brain a break, I was feeding it with information.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right.
So, it's amazing how information will find you. And I never I used to look at it on, people used to turn up their nose at these romance novels. But there is a distinction. If it says historical, it is like 99.9% of the time it is factual. And the reason I say that is because a lot of the readers of these historical romance novels, they are history buffs. And you will lose your reading audience if you make one historical mistake. And people think that, romance novels are a joke. Maybe they are, but not the historical romance novels. Those things have to be on point. So it's just amazing how information comes to you. The series that I was reading, the series that I was watching, this is the series that I was watching, and in this series, it's interesting because the series is called Queen of the South. Now, a lot of people don't know this. Queen of the South is plays out the American version is on the USA Network. The American version on the USA Network is based on the original series, which is all in Spanish. And it's funny because the Queen of the South, that American version, is based in North America and South America. The original series is based in Spain and Morocco.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to pull the map. I had to pull the map out in my mind and look at, okay, how come they're calling her Queen of the South if she's in Morocco and Spain? Where is Morocco and Spain? I have to go and look at the map. What part of the South is that?
Mm-hmm. Because that's the kingdom that was recently established. They're talking about this America or Morocco, which is that modern name or whatever. It's all there if you put it together.
Yeah, it's fine. But look, I had to go and pull out the map, and so I realized, we don't think the Earth is a spinning like a circle, right? So you have the South, our side, and you have the South on the other side.
True.
And you have the South on the East and the West, and it's all the South.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't really think of it like that. You just think when you're on the North American soil, you just think South America. That's all. That's the only South there is.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Listen, before you go to the callers, I just realized that I did not finish or state what happened to me in Staples. I have to say that. And one other thing. Yes. And one other thing I have to mention about the mothers. I'm going to show you something about the mothers that you mentioned about the womb, because I got an email from somebody who said to me that, I'm going to read you the email. It's very short, about how we discriminate because we won't give light-skinned people. It's from a woman, too. And I guarantee you it's a modern European woman. Her mama is a modern European. If her daddy is a Mauritian, her mama is a modern European. I'm telling you, because birth rate is based on what your mother is, period. That's what keeps everybody clear and safe, because it's about bloodline. So bloodline is, you get your blood from your mother. You don't get it from your father, because you don't. We have all kinds of ways of imprinting and power and all that. However, like I said, when that sperm hits that egg, there's no blood exchange. So we're talking about national, international, and maxims, which are that all states, that the condition of the child is based on the mama, and that's what this patriarchal system has done, twisted you upside down. But before I mention that, so I'm in Staples, right? I'm there. There's a young modern, this is a testament of the modern Europeans are going to tell the truth. Let me tell you, and this is what I was saying, says that you will experience these things on your own. If you have no knowledge, it will go over your head. It really will. But if you do have knowledge, what happens is the universe, we get weary sometimes, don't we? We're like, wow, this is, oh man, the people, because we realize one thing. It is not the modern European or what you call a white man that is really your problem. It is our own people that is our problem. The problem is with the people, period, and you're included in that. So find where you are in it. So that's the falsehood, that's strangely mixed with truth. But so I'm there and I'm at the checkout, and it's a young modern European, and I'm not sure. I think it has something to do with the government reset. And this guy, he says, well, it's only just proof that the government is the people. It's not those companies. This is what a young modern European son said, right? I was like, wow, okay, I got what he said. And so that's what, initiated our conversation. And then he said this, and I want you all to listen very carefully. This is going to help you understand why you must declare your nationality. Even a young modern European knows this, and I ain't have to say it, he did. He said to me, he said, they say that the Native Americans, he didn't say Indians, because the Native Americans are really Moors, even though they've taken that word and they've, cloaked it and attached it to the Indians, American Indians, that they branded Moors as Indians, all right? So if you don't know that, you can't cipher through the conversation. You just cannot. But this guy knew that, and he's a modern European. So he said they say that the Native Americans lost their land. This is how it started, because he knew that one of the first things on the government, unless he must have read the same article we did, was that they were no longer able to make passports. And I said, well, they're the immigrants anyway. And he says, I know. And he's a modern European. He says, I know. He says, I know. I said, so they shouldn't be making the passports for people anyway, because they're the ones who are immigrants. Listen, people, the modern Europeans are aware, just as you are becoming aware or are aware that you're not Negro, colored, blacks, which are brands. In 1774, they were branded upon you. They know as well that they are the immigrants. Trust me, they know it. So this is what he says to me. He says, yeah, well, they say that the Native Americans lost their land because they lost the war. Well, we can go through the wars and figure that one out. But he says, but as long as, this is what he said. Listen real careful. But as long as there's any descendant at all, he said, because he studies history. This is what his interest is. He says, as long as there's any descendants at all that are living, that can't happen. Do you hear what he just said? That's why you have to claim who you are as lineal descendant. You can't claim that being Negro, colored, and black. That's what this is all about, to gain back your heritage is in chapter 1 of the Circle 7 Holy Quran, in a conflict that can't be told in words. So he said, but as long as there's descendants, then that can't happen. This is why they coined you Negro, colored, and black, so that you would be undefendable, incompetent to claim your inheritance. He just bottled up, and just that sentence he just said, everything about why you're doing claiming your national status in one sentence. He bottled it up. So that's a fact. So that's why you were branded these things, so that you wouldn't claim it and make it claim it. So what he's saying is that, whether they won a war or not, doesn't mean it. If you come to someone's house and you beat them up, don't mean that you own their stuff, But saying that, it was most interesting. Now, another modern European, not just one now, was behind me in the line. Young, these are young. This is the youth, all right? The younger. I have on a ring that was handmade, and y'all have all probably seen mine or seen others, and it's made of copper and silver. It's the pyramid, and it has an ankh on it. And so the modern European, I felt like, damn, I'm being attacked by modern Europeans and knowledge. You know what I mean? Like, there's one at the counter, and then there's one behind me, and they're all attracted to the truth and the energy. And he says, oh, I really like that ring. I said, yeah, that's the pyramid, and that's the ankh. That's the original cross, the woman's womb. And they knew that. Listen, people, they knew that. That's why they were attracted to it. And if you ever watch Sleepy Hollow, the movie called Sleepy Hollow, where they show you how they, falsified paperwork and steal and claim deeds and stuff and tax people's land, the guy that came to investigate these heads being cut off, right? Hessian, the spirit of the Hessian, which is a Moor, by the way, on a horse that comes up and, cuts people's heads off. He pulls out of his breast pocket, not a cross, because that was back in that movie is based in the 1700s. He pulls out of his breast, not a cross. Look carefully. It's a ankh. And this is the modern European, all right? So now, so the one behind me is admiring the ankh in the pyramid, wanted to know what it was made of. I said, no, this is actual copper and silver. So we're getting this type of, play now where it is becoming commonplace regarding nationality and national principles. That's why I said it's not just on the front burner. It's on the side burners and the back burners. All right? Now, Dave was with me, and he opens up his, of course, phone and gives the guy the definition of the two Americans. Guess what? He already knew. He had never really seen that particular definition, but he already knew. So, look, you got to wake up. Now, that's what happened to me in Staples. That was very similar to years and years and years ago when I first came into this, and I went to have repairs on my automobile. And, my first time exercising no tax, when they told me on the phone it cost X amount, they didn't add the tax until I got there. And I said, no, I'm not paying the state sales tax. And then they said, well, give me your tax number. And I gave them my national ID, which had the AA 222141 on it. And then he said to me, wow, I didn't think there were any more Moors left. And that led into another conversation. So I'm telling you, it's very real. Get with it. Stop trying to involve yourself in the human trafficking fraud regarding birth certificates and things like that. That's not the way. Now, just be yourself. Be yourself. Now, the other thing that I want to bring up, because you mentioned about the women, this was an email sent to me, and there's a lot of slander stuff going on, so we get all kinds of stuff, and we just usually knock it out the box if it comes to us personally. We end up having to give a class to our email to whoever emailed us some dumb stuff, or referring them to where they can. Now, some people receive it and are happy to have received that truth. Others are just remain ignorant, and that's just the way it's going to be, because, that's just the way it's going to be. But I think at minimum, they at least somehow it resonates with them. Woman, who I believe is a modern European, I'm not going to tell you what she identifies herself as, because I'm not attacking her. I'm attacking I'm dealing with the information, the message, not the messenger. That's very key, because some of these things you're going to learn something. Some of these things that you hear are going to affirm something, and others are going to confirm, and et cetera, like that. So this person writes me and says, it has come to my attention that your organization rejects fair-skinned people for nationality ID. I'm not sure Noble Drew Ali would agree. If y'all go back in history, quite a few Moors were fair-skinned. Abe Lincoln was a fair-skinned Moor. I don't have to list them all, but you get the picture. So let me just say this. Abe Lincoln's mama was a Moor. Okay. We should be setting examples for others. Moors are about love. We do not discriminate. I have been sending a few people to your organization, and one person told me that that the person heard y'all reject people with fair skin. Please tell me this is a lie. That's not how Moors behave, as I had said before, because we are about love and unity. Well, first of all, she's identifying someone as fair skinned. So my response, in which I'm not going to read it all, but I am going to read my opening. Now remember, she says we're rejecting fair skinned or light skinned people. And I said light skinned people is not a nationality. This is about nationality and bloodline, not crayon colors or hues of skin. Although an heir apparent is apparently by appearance of dark skin a lineal descendant of the Moabites, Moor's lineage. The key that we work from is in national principles, and the question is, what is your nationality? And that is based on your mother. And of course, Anna E., I had to say, because, there's no blood transferred when the sperm is there, to get that out, because that's the next thing they usually come back with. The mother gives your blood and builds your body in the womb, which is the soul of man's temple, or Solomon's temple, in nature's law, national and international. The condition of the child is in fact based on the mother, as that is where one gets their nationality from, their mother. Thus, Prophet Noble Drew already said to have a greater respect for womanhood, which is in order here. So I said that whoever modern, if you, and then I assume, because I don't want to assume. See, in law you can't assume. So I said, if you were talking about modern Europeans and you're calling them light skinned, it is a well-known fact. Because I talked about Aboriginal, because we found that a lot of these modern Europeans are calling themselves indigenous, but what they won't call themselves is Aboriginal, because that would be a straight-out lie across all four corners of this planet. They're not Aboriginal anywhere. They're not Aboriginal, which is why, Moore, you can't just run on, I'm indigenous, although you are, because if you're Aboriginal, you're automatically indigenous. But if you're indigenous, you're not necessarily Aboriginal. And that is the distinction that Moors, you must raise with yourself right now. So what happens with that is a lot of modern Europeans will try to get in on the bandwagon and be indigenous. All right? So that kind of came up, so I just made sure that was known. So I said that just as, where is it? This sentence. So, here it is. That all people, even modern Europeans, because remember they call themselves American until St. Patty's Day, then they're Irish. Okay, now they're identifying their nationality. All right, so they are American citizens of some rank, but they're not Moroccan American nationals, Aboriginal to the land. You've got to get that straight. But that doesn't mean that's a discrimination. These are facts. This is what nationality is based on. Bloodline. Bloodline, and that ties you to the land. All right? And they can't be tied to land. They were seeded, given a place to be, which was Europe. That's why you see in history, even more closely, they all came from Europe, even through when they came over here from the British as slaves, as the Slavics that they are. And also when their lineal descendants came later after they got their independence by the Moroccan Moors, assisting to end this slavery stuff, fighting their own brethren, which is the British Moors, all right, to end this slavery stuff, because they were the original slaves. Now, after that, the lineal descendants of them came through Ellis Island. That came later. And they came to a place where they could what? Be free. So they're not tied to any land. So I said that, that modern Europeans need to also claim their nationality instead of calling themselves light-skinned people trying to get in now saying, well, I'm a Moor, but I'm just light-skinned. No, I made her clear it up. When you're saying light-skinned people here, that you're saying we reject, are you saying, and I asked the question, so there's no assumption, are you talking about modern Europeans? Because if you are, they need to claim what their nationality is too. And everything is hunky-dory. And if that be the case, as far as we're concerned at this point, we have not offered a card that says American citizen of Irish descent. That's what these modern Europeans would have to receive if we were giving them something, because, and I explained to her in this email, our paperwork, our proclamation, everything we do deals with Aboriginal and Indigenous, deals with the lineal descendants by bloodline. It says those who were coined Negro, colored, and black, which means you can't sign this proclamation because it's not talking about you. It's not. So unless, we were talking to change that, which we have not at this point done, then you can't get this card because it's for Aboriginal. You're not that. So I say to you, they're seeking the same thing. And instead of them going, like you said earlier, offering birth certificate redemptions and all kinds of fraud into the birthright, right? That once they throw it away, Moors pick it up. You know what I'm saying? They have to do the same thing. That's why, and Cujo brought it out real clear that there was some other Turks or something. They have a nationality, even though Turks are Moors. You got to know that too. But it's like just claim your nationality, Mr. quote unquote white man. You're not a white man. I'm not a black. So what's your nationality? I don't know. I'm American. No, you're not. What's your mother? Because we know that your mother came over either as a slave, a Slavic, or, which is where you come from, and came over after that, still as an immigrant here. So nationality is on the front burners, the side burners, and the back burners. It's imperative because if you think that you're a citizen and your nationality is a United States national, which doesn't exist, it's just some bullcrap someone made up because it doesn't exist. You can't be a United Statian. That's not a nationality. And the time is coming where everyone must confess their own. Every tongue must confess their own. That's where we're at. No more cloaking, no more lying, no more hiding behind anything. No more hiding behind the lie. No more hiding behind the truth that is strangely mixed with falsehood. So since you were told by Prophet Noble Ali that truth is strangely mixed with falsehood, you got to get to deciphering out, which we're studying, to get the truth out of the falsehood or the falsehood out of the truth. Islam to the mothers.
All right, Islam.
Islam to that.
That's the trickery right there. Hold on a minute.
Mm-hmm.
All right, yeah. Need to make sure my was not covered. That's the trickery right there. Because these people, they have changed, in their mind, they tricked the people into believing that the bloodline comes from the father. So that it's very easy to throw mother away in any capacity. When if it wasn't for mother, nobody would be here. Mother is not some kind of vessel that holds some semen or egg or semen. Well, actually, they never call the semen an egg. They call it they erroneously identify the semen as a seed, but it's not. It's not a seed.
That's the one.
But that's a misinformation because scientifically, if you were to see the semen or sperm next to the egg, you would realize the impossibility of that mindset. It's just not even possible for the sperm to have any significance to the creation of the child when you look at the size of the two side by side. You get you get clear real fast. But
real fast.
everybody, this is about lineal descent bloodline. And it's about tricking the people into believing that they don't know what their bloodline is, either because they don't know what part of the geographical planet Earth they come from, or they think that they come from their daddy. And which means you're now identifying yourself through a name as opposed to a bloodline. All of this is a trick. It's all a trick. And the trick is to get you to deny your mother. Really, that's what it is. Everything that they portray and everything that they present is designed to get the people to have animosity, hate, anger, towards the mother. Because if they can disconnect you from mother, then they can disconnect you from your lineal descent bloodline. It's just that easy. It's just that easy. And we as a people, we fall for it all the time. And we're set up. We're set up to have animosity and disagreement with our mothers. Now, it's not our mother's fault. That's a plan that has been set in motion, and it's past time that we break that spell. It's past time. The only way that spell is going to be broken is if the mothers of today get this information at all costs. Because if she doesn't get it, see, modern Europeans, as Roz just showed you, they know exactly who we are. They know our heritage. They know that the bloodline goes through mother. So if mother is in denial of her bloodline and her ancestry, so will her child be. And son, I hate to tell it to you, there's nothing you can do about that because it is her egg. It's her egg. My daughter was watching a program today. I don't know, it's on YouTube, something she was watching on YouTube, and it was so funny because in this program, given by modern European, I might add, he says all eggs start out as female. All eggs start out as female. And my daughter turned to me and said, I didn't know that, Mom. I said, yeah. All eggs start as females. That's why the riddle, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, is a trick question because they're both female, right? So now check it out. You got people debating about the lineal descent bloodline, yet we have this riddle. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And science tells us that all eggs start out as female. And one chromosome becomes corrupt, meaning loses part of itself for whatever reason. We don't know why. And that creates not an X chromosome, but a Y chromosome. And the Y chromosome is incomplete. Therefore, it can never be the creator. That's science. That's not, and E don't like men, or, she just says his son. Look.
Yes, indeed.
This is not going to change until it gets into the heads, the minds, the spirit, the soul of the mother. And then, to keep the division going, they established this ridiculous child support process that has the mother and the son tearing at each other. Now, what's really ridiculous about this, and it's so convoluted, I mean, talk about a conundrum. You have these sons who they think that their sperm is doing something, and they fighting for the right to claim the sperm and smack their daddy name on her egg. And then, at the same time, they don't want to take care of the child. And some sons are so vulgar as to feel like it's an inconvenience for them sexually for her to be pregnant, and will say things like, baby, better get out the way.
That is really.
But this is supposed to be their seed. I mean, we have to wake up and look at all of this. Prophet Noble Jew Ali King said, I'm tearing everything down. All of this lies, all of this misinformation, all of this mess, I'm tearing it down one by one. Now, if you don't understand, comprehend, get what he just said, then you're going to be tearing down. That means, sons, you better get with the program and check science. And sisters, y'all better get with the program, check the science, and get this information into your heads so that the babies can come here with it. Because if it ain't in you, it's a 50-50 chance that that child may never get it. It's a 50-50 chance that the child may never get it. It was a 50-50 chance that I may never get this. And I'm thanking all the gods of the universe, all the energies, everything, you know, the past lives that I must have gone through some stuff to learn this, to come back and finally get it. Got it. And I'm not going to be, you know, looking at it lightly. It's a huge obligation, but the obligation is for me and me alone. And so I'm not going to take that lightly. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to do what I can for me. And if it benefits people on a whole who can see it, hear it, and grasp it, that is great, because I am not
That's
special.
uplifting fallen humanity. That's right.
That's
right. You just
I
don't know.
didn't get this because I'm special. I got this because I studied. That's it. I didn't get this. So that means that just like I got it from studying, every last person can get this from studying. Because it's all there.
But what did you just say? You said what he said. Save yourself. I've given you enough to save a nation, but save yourself. So it's not, you're not saying it because you're special and you whatever or anyone else. That is your duty and obligation and instruction, that you have enough information to save an entire nation.
That's right.
But what you got to do first is save yourself. That's it. And then the rest comes.
Yep.
Then everybody's saved.
Right.
Now we all call it one unite verse, one word. We know the word. We know the truth. And we are it. And we walk it. And that's what all of us, I'm saying, when I say we, I'm including everyone. That's how it's supposed to be.
That's right. That's right. And you know, and the more we study, the more we will learn that mothers, you all have brought forth these beings. You don't own them. They came through you because all of the circumstances was exactly what it needed to be for them to learn specific lessons, one anything in those circumstances was too far out of whack, that being would have aborted the mission. All right?
That's
so that means that
abortion.
the job and obligation of the mother is to, if you choose to bring them here, that's all you were supposed to do was bring them here and pass on information that you had acquired, and that's it. It's not your job to control them. Not your job to dictate what they will and will not do. It's your job to give them the information that you got and then let them do what they came here to do so they can learn the lessons that they came here to learn so that their spiritual growth can happen.
And can I interject? And the prophet said, get this into the children at all costs. That's what you just said.
Yeah, that's correct.
Because the first school room is where? That womb, Mama.
The womb. So now if we look at that and contemplate and turn that over, he's saying, get this into the mothers. Because if it is in the mothers, it will be in the child.
There's your duty and obligation, sister.
So
you don't care.
That's right. That's the obligation and the duty of the mother.
But what are they doing, Annie? Yin, 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 yin. What I call whining and crying over the fact of some the father and the child support and all that bull crap that distracts them from the fact that they bring it in. When those saints come in, they come in through your womb, Mama. That's your job, not to be distracted by these companies, corporations, and other entities and energies that are trying to keep you bickering over the bull when you have another much higher duty, period, and obligation. And, I don't know, I didn't mean to get pregnant. Well, I mean, what kind of sense is that? If you have sex, if you make that, whatever.
If everything is
that's funny.
there for you to conceive. Here's the thing, and a lot of women need to know this. In telling you this in movies, in books, all over the place, they say, mothers, you decide when you're going to have become pregnant. In fact, we used to be able to determine the gender of the child. That is the science of the number 9. But because we've been mentally challenged by modern Europeans, that information is still within us. It's just that most females are so caught up in this, I got to hook up with a boyfriend, I got to get me a man. They're caught up with all of that bull crap that they don't go within themselves and find themselves. And so you're haphazardly bringing forth beings through all sorts of crazy processes, that have nothing to do with science. Nothing at all, just haphazard.
So while they're searching for that right man, in the meantime, they need to know that if that sperm hits that egg, it's going to electrify it, baby, whether you think it's the right man or not.
And that sperm, it will never be needed if you go into yourself and comprehend the electrical magnetic being that you are. You already are that. We're already electromagnetic beings. So you already have the ability. You came here with the ability to duplicate yourself. But because we've been mentally conditioned to think outside of ourselves. Everything is happening haphazardly, and this is why. And it's for this reason that you have employees of corporations that come in and they claim you and your baby because you are not competent. You're asleep. You're doing stuff so haphazardly that it's endangering that you come in and they come in and they take control of you and your child. And now they have created an entire industry based off of controlling you and your child. And they get you to claim to be a member through citizenship, and through this claim, which everybody thinks, she sold me when she signed that birth certificate. Baby, you was never sold. But they did gain control of her egg because of her gross lack of information. And as long as she don't have the appropriate information, they will claim her baby, just like it tells you in the secret teachings of John, the dragon waits for her, and after in Revelation, the dragon waits for her to have the baby, and then it devours the baby. How can the dragon devour the baby? Because she is asleep. That's metaphoric. It means she's lacking information. Yep. And as long as she doesn't have it, Prophet said it, get this into the children at all costs. All children, but specifically the ones that are doing the duplicating of self. That is her. Because if you get it into her, then we can save the next generation. And maybe if you get it into her, we can maybe possibly save the current generation. But if you don't get it into her, then guess what? Slaughtering, because that means that all the people who are running on ego for whatever reason and do not work to get it into her, meaning it doesn't get into her, so it doesn't get into the current or the next generation, all of you will be slaughtered. You're lost. You're going to have to come back knowing you're lost. That's by choice. Because science has never lied. Ego lies all the time.
All right.
Yeah. This is why he said draw a circle around your passion and square up your conduct. That's not just for the sons. That's for two. Draw a circle around your passion, square up your conduct. Stop letting this false information that modern Europeans have implanted in your cranium run your lives. You cannot give back your lost estate if you can't even gain control of your own mind.
That's a tough. Wow. Yes. And it's mine. And so there goes the gaining back. There goes the gaining back in a conflict that can't be told in words, because that's going to happen all in your mind. The metamorphosis, the transition, the exorcism, the baptism, all that. You can't, and when it does happen, then you can tell about it as best you can, but it already happened when you're trying to explain it, because it's a conflict that just simply has happened that can't be told in words. So it has to be with the mind first. And that's what has happened. And this is also why he said, I came to teach you to be yourself. And that's what we said earlier. Just be yourself. Just be yourself. And I came to take you out of the mental slavery. Because, yes, it's a mental slavery, no diggity, no doubt. That's what it is. People talk and eat about, well, they're doing this and they're doing that. So concerned about what they're doing shows that you're not looking at what you need to be doing. That's for sure.
That's
and when
right.
I say you, I mean us. And us collectively in numbers doing the right thing will
That's
change
right.
all of it. That's what's happening now. But if you have not come out of the mental slavery, and this is a very good example, if you have not come out of the mental slavery while all of this is changing and happening, you will still miss it. Like, for instance, okay, they're citizens plus members of the USSA, which is a corporation that just shut down, proving to you they're a corporation, right? So what are you going to do? Are you going to be the one that says, oh, Lordy, Master can't make passport, what we going to do? That could be you, in that you're going to still do whatever you can to prop them up, because in your mind you believe they are your governing authority because you believe it, but you don't know who they really are. They're corporations. They're companies. What more do you need to see that? It's the same with Puerto Rico, right? Puerto Rico was bankrupt, right? Because it's a corporation. It has nothing to do with the land. The land is bankrupt. You think the people there don't know that? So you got to speak the right words. You got to stop saying, I'm going to Puerto Rico. We know people who fly and say they're going to Puerto Rico, never did say Puerto Rico. They don't have to say Mississippi. Because if you're saying you're going to a corporation, then you are held to the corporate private policies. Does that make sense, Annie? Does that make sense? I mean, it does to me, because you're not saying that you're a natural flesh and blood being and a natural people, but yet you made a claim. You signed proclamation papers, judicial notice. You say you are a flesh and blood, but then you continue to act differently because you're not studied enough to even understand. You're not being yourself. That's what it is. You're not being yourself. And so that kind of activity is what is going to continue to be clutched onto, attached onto these corporations and their fall, and you're going to fall with them. So
yeah,
it's just that simple. They're shut down right now, but I think you're still living and breathing. How do they become any authority of, and where was that delegated over you and yourself, your being, and your family? And believe me, modern Europeans are very aware of that as well. But it doesn't matter. What matters is your mindset. Like you said earlier at the beginning of this show, some people want to do these birth certificate redemptions because they think there's some rainbow, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, some finance to get. That's because they have a messed up mindset to actually think that their freedom, their liberty, their rights, their status, their standing, their relationship to the community tied to that. So that means that process you're involving in is you're involving yourself in human trafficking. That's what you're doing, and trying to get a piece of what these people who have bureaucratized slavery, human trafficking, you want to get a piece of that. The universe is going to smack you. The universe is going to hurt you if you don't let go. Otherwise, you're going straight to the pit.
All right. So we got some callers waiting. So we're going to take some callers. If you have a comment, question, concern, press 1 on your telephone dial. And our first caller, I believe, is Sister Carol. Is that you, Sister Carol?
Islam. What a great show. I mean, everything you said today it's right on point. The mothers getting it, passing it on to our children, and knowing who you are, being yourself. But my one thing I really taken from this, and this goes back some classes when you said just be quiet and study. And I've been doing so much of that, so I'm like, and it's funny because I was complaining like, why am I waking up at 3 and 4 in the morning? I'm finally on there. Then I listened to one of Coach Cujo, Grand G. Cujo's show, and he said, you up that time to read. And I've been doing that, and I tell you, it's a beautiful thing. And also, Sister Rob, I want to share with you, I am literally experiencing traveling forward in time, like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It's happened 3 times now. At first, I said, oh, it's just my imagination. But now it's happened 3 times. And I'm like, wow, So you're right about time speeding up. And the energy is out there, and information, too, because even when I'm out traveling or just taking care of some things and what have you, people, they approach you, they're asking questions now. And I tell you, don't even have to tell them I'm not tax obligated. They just take it off.
They don't even question anymore. That's
yeah. It's really something, but it's definitely in the air. It's like you're so right. And exactly, you say it's on the front burner. It's here. It's in our face. And I can even see with some of my siblings and family, even though they're still resistant, but I see where they're like eyebrows are being raised, because they have that ego problem where, can't tell them anything in her. So, but it's something. But it's a beautiful thing, and I just want to thank you both for, everything, all the information. Oh, the strength, the encouragement. I'm like, how dare me even think about family as much as you and Rod, you and Anita do. I said, I wish I would complain about anything.
Yeah. When you start complaining, right, what happens is a few things. The universe says, oh, you think that's bad, huh? All right, let me say this. And then all of a sudden, you're like, you know what? That wasn't so bad after all.
That's right. That is.
Yes. Or when you get weary, because we do get weary. Yes, indeed, don't we? The universe shows you something. It says, stay right there. Stay right here. I'm prophesizing to you. I'm revealing. Unveiling is really the better word to you that it's all gonna be all right. And we love this one with this supposed government shutdown. It doesn't matter whether they prophesy and say, oh well, we came up with some finance and we're back in operation. I mean, they are. This is it for them. It should be it for us, not really them. We ought to be real clear.
And I said this to a friend last night. I said to her, because she mentioned it to me, I said, oh, I haven't been watching any news, and because I don't have regular television. I don't have cable TV, so, but anyway, she says, yeah, well, the government could, and, I just want to make sure I got enough money in the bank. And I said, that's not your fiat. That belongs to the bank. And I said, all right, if the government closed down one day and never opens back up, what are you going to do? She couldn't give me an answer, but, okay, that's not our government. I keep telling you, they're corporations.
So as nationals, we target to national stuff, for real, and be nationals. Don't be using no third party talking about I'm doing international trade or whatever, and you got a third party intervening because you haven't claimed your national status, so ain't no national going to really deal with you. But they are nationals across the world. And they are there, and you need to act like, be who you say you are, and don't be bringing local, so-called quote unquote local policies and procedures into a national and international venue. Please don't do
Thank
that.
You.
That means you keep them in your pocket as well and in your life, and nobody's going to be dealing with them. Nobody.
That's right.
The prophet said it. It's going to go down.
And you can see it and you can feel it. Definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
Exactly.
I just want to say again, thank you, and I love you both, and peace and love always.
Islam. Right. And
all right,
there?
Islam, and thank you for that call. All right. Let's see. Caller 206-2. 775. You're live on the air.
Islam.
Islam.
Can you hear us? Islam.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Can you hear me, family? Oh,
yes,
perfect.
we can hear you.
It's my. Sorry, I'm out in the woods. Like, we live kind of out in the country, so our phone a lot of times has terrible service. But it's Mariam Bey, and I called in today with my young, beautiful princess Araya Mahik Bey, and she wanted to talk to you guys. She asked me how I know all these things and how did I learn all these things. And I told her the Moorish family has been offering me their support and teaching me about birthright and nationality. So to help her gain her confidence, because she's going to be doing a presentation on her nationality and her culture for her 4th grade report, she wanted to read you guys what she's been working on, if that's okay.
How old is your daughter?
She's 9 years old.
Grade? 9 years
4th grade, yes.
All right.
All right, Rhea.
Well,
Young Araya, say hello first.
Hi, how are you?
Tell them your full name.
We are fine. How are you, little sister? How are you, Aria?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm going to read to you about Marcus Garvey.
Ah, all right.
On August 3rd, 1920, Marcus started his own military to lift up his people. At the age of 34, he gained millions of followers worldwide. His goal was to create an independent Moorish nation. Marcus Garvey joined forces with the prophet noble Jew Ali. He was in charge of teaching his people nationality principles. Marcus Garvey started a paper that reached all the way to Africa. Also, Marcus Garvey opened his own shipping company.
Did you know?
Oh, did you know that Marcus Garvey was fighting for rights and independence for Moorish years before the civil rights movement? He unite over 2 million people from the Americas and the islands. And something that he says is, a people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots.
Wow. Wow. That's beautiful. That's a great 4th grade. Yes. I like that. Annie E., what do you think?
Thank you.
That's great.
It is great. 4th grade. There you go. That's your report. And that's a great report. And you'll start changing things for people to hear the truth about our people and the Moorish nation and who we are. Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Great job. Great job.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, I'm really trying to encourage her because I know she gets stage fright in general, but I think that it's a struggle to for her to be so open about her nationality and for people to tell her she.
Yes.
So she's being very courageous to do this.
But if she can do that now, she'll be even. This is the foundation. You know what I mean? She'll be greater still later. She's already great, really. She's just bringing it out.
Yeah, she's a powerhouse.
All right, that's right. And so that's a beautiful thing. Now, I trust that they will receive her report, and it's her report. That's what she's reporting on, because I know that, even with my son when he was younger, we would do such reports, and then I know one time he was saying they didn't want to give him a grade on what he was doing because it wasn't part of their curriculum.
I was actually going to ask your opinion on that fact because I've had some conversations with the principal and with her teacher. I also was planning on emailing her teacher and letting them know that kind of just sending them a copy of the rights of a child and rights of indigenous people, that she has a right to speak about her religion and her culture without any interference. And I was wondering if you guys thought that was a good idea.
Well,
Have you had interference?
Right. If you don't
We
have an
have.
experience.
Yeah, we have. We have. My daughter got pulled off the stage at an assembly for saying that she was Moorish American.
What?
Well, why would what was the context that she was saying she was Moorish American?
Yeah. Her and one of her friends went up on the stage and they said that they were Moorish American, started talking about their culture, and the teacher started telling them that they were black.
Oh, you should get with that teacher. Yeah, you should definitely. You should definitely.
I have. I have.
Well,
I am absolutely was talking to Cujo. He told me I should contact the superintendent.
Wait a minute. Did your child go up and say this?
Yes, she did.
And they told her no, she's black?
Correct. They told her she was African American.
And what did she say?
Yeah, her, the principal told her to get the hell off the stage, and I quote.
Oh, no. See, that is not, that's a letter to the superintendent of schools. That's
what Cujo told me to do. Yeah, Cujo told me to write a letter to the superintendent, which I did, and I also
because that's verbal abuse.
That is verbal abuse.
Yeah, it was difficult. So now we're going up again with it with the presentation.
In the end, though, let's just get to the brass tacks. That is verbal abuse, and that's how you deal with that, on what it is, regardless to who they are. But in the end, if they have employees, calling themselves teachers, that are going to be coming from that, you got to look at, well, the prophet said we have to have our own schools. We don't need to we need to force them into, like, for instance, that's verbal abuse, and you need to let them know that. So you can start there, and they'll have to change their ways too. But
well, you know what the point that I made, like, and me and my daughter definitely talk about homeschool, and it's an idea that we're thinking about for 5th grade or possibly 6th grade. But what I brought up to the superintendent and to the principal when I spoke with him was that the fact that my daughter's school is very diverse. It has a lot of different diversity. It has a lot of different nations. She goes to school with kids from the continent, Ethiopian kids, Eritrean kids. She goes to school with Somalian kids. So for them to single her out and not allow her to express herself, but they're allowing the Mexicans and the Asians and the Japanese, that's discrimination.
Right, too. But in the end, what she may do, being that she's young and has this in her, is just go, and no matter where you are, what you're doing, stand on the law and the facts, and it will become where it isn't even a matter because of what you just said. But it also exposes their agenda. But we don't care about their agenda. We care about them violating us in any way. That's verbal abuse. Because discrimination, in a way, it's like, what you got to look at what the institution is, what their policies are, what their mission is. Their window of discrimination, their ceiling of discrimination. That's why people keep going around and around and around in a circle, because maybe they're not. Their mission and purpose has nothing to do with what others may think it ought to have something to do with. Their mission and purpose is to funnel everybody into thinking the way they want them to think. That's really what that is. So, this is why a lot of times, like, discriminating. Why? Oh, you discriminate on me because I'm a black man. Oh, well, I don't know about, like, like that. Like, so
right.
You just got to stand as to who you are. This is your culture. This is it. And then let them put on the table, let them say that, oh, well, we, what their reasons are. So she could just become a young being that is just not going to allow herself to be violated, discriminated, violated, definitely no verbal abuse. I don't give a daggone who they are. So that's the premise in which it would come through, and we'll see what happens with that, because we have to remember that the age of Aquarius has already come, and it's information, has already come, and that the energies with that is also the Saturnian energy, which rides with Uranus, ruling Aquarius, which is knocking down on institutions, has already occurred with the schools. The churches have been exposed, all of these things have fallen down, and they will not be able to be rebuilt unless they are rebuilt in order, in what it essentially comes out to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. All right, they're not going to be able to come back up. So that's what's happening, and maybe your young daughter is a part of that, to effectuate change, but not, to be, it's not going to be as much of a struggle. It's all going to be what is called commonplace, because it's all about common law. It's all about nature's law. It's all about the truth, not about the hidden stuff. So if it ends up that this place has to expose the fact that they really aren't about any fair and open learning and education, which is bringing education really comes from within, to be honest. And so if they should find, if it should be that they have exposed that they're not about any of that, then then that's who they are, that's what they'll be, and only those who want to attend such will go there, and it will not be, oh, that's the public school. Like, who do you think is really running public schools? I mean, you got to get down to the brass tacks. We can have our own schools. The first school starts in the womb.
Right.
So that's right, because society begins with family, and so does the authority to govern the family, which means to, discipline and order, not government as people think. So therefore, you're just not going to, they might say, well, look, this is who we are and this is what we teach. We don't want no other kinds of people here. This is our mission. Let them have their mission. Where's ours? That's what it's going to end up being, or it's just going to become an integrated situation of common law and common sense and science, and therefore it's nothing to be resisted. That's the future that your daughter is going into. Don't let her go into that with knowledge and law and common law, and don't bring her back to the days of, black and white discrimination. That stuff is over. That's over. That's done. That's buried. So she's going into those days, and let her go. Whatever effectuates, whatever changes from that, be it your daughter and anyone else that's on the line's daughter, don't let them pigeonhole, because education is truly from within.
I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
We will continue pushing forward with making sure she has a voice, right, even within the public school. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Peace and love.
All righty. Thank you so much for that call. We'll take our last caller. Caller 79323. You're live on the air.
Islam, this is Brother Bukhari Bottle Bay calling from northwestern Mexico.
Islam, you sound great. We can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's better. I have a new provider, and this is the third phone, so.
All right. Islam.
Yeah. And what a wonderful show. And thank you, mothers, for bringing this information to the masses and sharing your knowledge with us like a true professor would, or a sheik, or a great teacher. And so I really thank you for it. And I just wanted to make a comment to kind of dovetail off of the issue, some of the issues associated. Well, my comment is, would be on issues associated when you have these individuals who are trying to call themselves Bay and use our family names because they know that their time is up for this. A lot of the cheating that has been going on throughout the world, and so what I just wanted to touch on was that's an extremely dangerous process from a military perspective. And there are many things that I can talk about why that would not be a great idea. History has shown that, and one of the things that I think I'm paraphrasing someone. I don't know who the author of the statement was, but it's something to the effect that it's more difficult to tell a loved one a truth than an enemy, because I've had conversations with some Moors, and in sharing certain perspectives, and when it comes to this practice, if you will, I don't think it's a widespread practice, but in terms of having modern Europeans, utilize or refer to themselves as a Bey or what, regardless of the intention behind it, because they should be referred to by their family and their bloodline. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to be hateful or anything like that. But it is, there are so many things that can happen as a result of that would provide a fissure, if you will, that would allow others with evil intent to infiltrate a given situation. And yeah, so I just wanted to applaud
you're
you.
absolutely right. You're absolutely correct. We show it all the time. They say they're Americans. They're not. They say they're indigenous now, but they're not Aboriginal. You see, they tried to go in to be Indians, and that got, they're always infiltrating, and that's why I got that message from, you're discriminating on light-skinned people without identifying nationality and or without identifying that. I believe that when they said light-skinned people, they're trying to be, ease in. But the ill and the bay is the title to the land estate, period. So they can never have that, period.
Right.
You're right.
Period.
That's how they kind of come in now. That's why it's very important that we know what is what and who's who. Yep.
And I applaud you for making those statements, because people really need to listen and they really need to look at that, because there's a lot, and I know that there's not a lot of time, and I'm not trying to get into I'm not trying to get into a speech about it, but essentially there are a lot of things, practical things that this applies to, that it's just not a good thing to do. Certainly if, I'm sure that a lot of people have difference of opinions, and some people may say, oh, well, maybe he's just hating on Europeans. And no, I believe that every man, every woman should not have to pay to live. I believe that if you walk upon this earth, as long as you don't harm another unlawfully, then you should have a place to lay your head, a roof over your head, a decent food to eat, and the ability to pursue bettering yourself, both physically, mentally, and ethereally. But again, when it comes to harming others and taking actions that would, in effect, abrogate laws of nations and laws of the land, that there has to be measures and there has to be laws implemented to ensure that those types of things don't take place, especially with our history. And so again, thank you for this wonderful conversation and this wonderful show, and I yield the floor.
Islam. I don't know that there's any laws that need to be made. The laws are already in place, and it's interesting because the peace document, that's what I call it, The Constitution is the law of this land, for those who are occupying on it, for those who are operating upon it, whether they are a union state, not a union state, whether they are a state, meaning a group of people occupying a fixed portion of the land, it doesn't matter. The law of the land is the law of the land, and it already brought the peace that we're looking for, to be honest with you, to keep from being molested by these quote-unquote other citizens. So it's already there, and I do believe strongly that that's why we were told to enforce that by even Prophet Noble Ali. And so even with that, now you get into, as we said, who are the Aboriginal people of the land, tied to the land, bloodline, etc. And everyone knows it's not a modern European. So you have a good point. Like this, they got to be who they are too. They got to be who they are as well. And that would be to, so there's no law. The law it's already there. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of enforcing it.
Mm.
It really is, because we started out with this program about the processes. Everybody's trying to do a process to void the marriage certificate, when it's void ab initio for what it is. It's human trafficking, all right? So we don't need to do a process for that. What we need to do is be ourselves. And that's why we say to people, look, and that's why the prophet even said it. He says, you come in and you put an El Bay as your title, not a last name, but as your title. You know what I'm saying? It's simple as that. That puts you under your nation, your family of nation, because the rest of the world knows who El Bays are. And then you look at Resolution 75 out of Philadelphia. I mean, it's right there. It's like it's not an unknown thing, but so yeah, the distinctions must be made, because when we really look at this thing, what is this black-white thing? Even if we've been calling ourselves black or whatever, and that's what it's referring to us, melanated people, which are heirs apparent. As soon as you see, as soon as they see a quote-unquote black man, how did they determine that? Oh, by his skin tone, number one, which is heir apparent. That's apparent. There's this division. There's this division. And there's a reason that fear is in these modern Europeans regarding us. That's part of the history. So if you wipe all that out, what is left? See, this is about civics. And even with this little sister that just called, if I trust they're still listening, this is why the Prophet Muhammad started this civic organization, because what we're saying is the little sister, and all of us need to do, is to maintain civility and civilized activity based in civilization principles. That's what it really is about, to act civil. This propaganda of the black-white thing causes people's minds to become agitated, feeling inferior, and concentrating on a black-white thing, so-called black-white thing, rather than on the civility of life and civilized principles and civilized activity.
Yeah.
And right, exactly. And the key, that's why Prophet Noble Ali was just the gracious man. And the key to that is I have a right to do whatever I choose, provided I do not infringe on your right to the same. So now you get into, civil activities, like you don't just infringe on other people. And that's really what it is. Mm-hmm. And that's why they have a case law. Now, again, we're not pursuant to case laws. Case laws only occur because people knew what their liberties/rights were, and somebody violated it. And when somebody violated it, they sued them. That's a civil action. And when they did, the outcome of such That's what the case law comes from. So when that case law, I think it's Shelby, I can't remember the name of it. I used to remember them, but it's in the giveaways that you get on the 13 points. When it says the state, oh man, what does it say? A state has no power to determine what anyone can and cannot do. It's right there. That is left upon, and it says it's left upon the intelligence of the citizen themselves. You know, and of course we're national as far as citizenship goes on a broad basis. So what that's saying is it's left up to you. So with that being true, then they devise ways to pigeonhole you into thinking the way they want you to think to become good slaves and they've used the public school systems to do it. Absolutely no diggity, no doubt. So therefore, the person, the being, does not use their own intelligence. So, I see. So if that's the case, they're devising a way to distract and to diminish the intelligence of the people so that they won't use their intelligence. So then you go back to that military document that says any people who does not use their intelligence are like stakes on the table. So it all connects together. And that's why we have to study these things and also recognize man as mind and that we're in a mental slavery and start being who we are. So we don't need cool new government. People say, where's our government? Not knowing that people are the government. Government starts with family. Society starts with family and so does the authority to govern, in the household. We don't need new laws, no, because everything is already written. It is already done. It's just what we need to do is enforce that, which is, and particularly against those who violate the law against us, against you. If someone violates it against you, then you need to, that's a part of you enforcing it at minimum. We don't need, we need our own stuff. This is our stuff. This government is ours. We're just asleep.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need to do. So they have us running around going to find this, and you need to start that. Yeah, what they doing now? They're over there, getting together a coalition to start a new government. Okay, keep them busy while we run there. Keep them busy while we rape them. Right. You understand what I'm saying? So the prophet said, if it's the Constitution, so you're not molested by these people, these other citizens. And we will do everything, and I do mean, Bakari, I know you know it's the truth, and everybody listen, we will do everything except for that.
Yeah, I love listening to you guys. I love listening to Brother Abdullah Talib Mosley Bey. I think that he brings to the table a lot of wonderful points as it pertains to the structure of government and the fact that we are not sitting in our seats. And
we're not even sitting in our mind. We're not even sitting in our own mind. We're not even. How are we gonna sit in the seat? We don't even know what the seat is.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm laughing, but it's certainly not funny. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm not going to take time. I just wanted to share that and thank that a lot to think about. I really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. All righty. Thank you so much for that.
All right. I think of Tupac when I saw his video, peace and grace be upon him, but I saw his video years ago and it looked so futuristic, I think it was from a movie, 2000 or something. But anyway, it's supposed to be shot in 2099 or something like that, and they're all on like desert buggies or something like that. And I thought that was so far away, but it isn't. It is upon us. You know, I thought that was futuristic. A Thunderdome, I think it was. That it was like that sort of style. I'm talking California too. That's where it happened at. California's getting it right now. The land is changing, mudslides and drought. But anyway, moving along.
All righty, we got one more caller. Caller 619-303. You are live on the air.
Yes, hi. This is Felicia. I had a couple of quotes out of the oral statements and prophets for what Prophet Noble Drew Ali had told us, and I was wondering if you all needed to comment on it. The first one is number 79. He said that the children, your hair is not kinky, it is woolly like your brother Jesus.
Well, what's the description in the Bible about who Yahshua, or what many call Jesus? It says that he had hair of ram's wool and he had feet of bronze. What's bronze? So that means he wasn't a European. He was melanated, and his hair was woolly. The part about that is that that's right in the Bible that people read today. It's in there to describe him as hair of ram's wool and feet of bronze, but yet we went through generations where, you know, we had a picture of a lily, so quote-unquote, white Jesus on the wall. So that was an abomination. So what he was, now why he said that is you got to go to the 101, sister, and you do the lineage. He tells you what your lineage is. He's giving you who you are, because Moabite, Ruth the Moabite, in the Bible, it was Jesus' great-grandmother? So he's tying you, by you tying yourself to Jesus or Yahshua. In that elementary teaching, they're going to say Jesus, right? By you tying yourself to Jesus, then you can tie yourself to Ruth the Moabite, which is the oldest story in the Bible. So that's why he said it. And you go to the 101s and they give you a lineage. All right.
And there was one more, unless Anna-Ida want to add anything on that?
No, that's good.
All right. The other one is number 182, where he told the brothers to use kind words towards their wives.
Greater respect for womanhood. Can you read it? He just said use kind words towards your wife. He said use kind words towards your wife. Okay. That's it. That's a part of having a greater respect for womanhood. And now you would go to the Circle 7 Quran, and you would read the duties of a husband towards his wife. And, of course,
number
the
21.
duties of the wife. Excuse me?
Yeah, number 21.
Yeah, I think that's section 21. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's the one
I
read this morning. It was beautiful.
Right. Now, when you read the duties of the wife towards the husband and the husband towards the wife, there's no one is greater than the other at all. Everybody has their duties. So it says, obey your wife, obey your husband. So I would trust that you would have a husband, which is a house binder, that's what husband means, that provides and makes sure the roof ain't leaking and the stuff is fixed and you got a roof and got a house and all that, that you would choose one who would have a greater respect to listen to you and you to he, in that he has grown to be from a son, which he's born as a son and shall die as a son. We know that. That's why you have my son. But he acquires the titles, which comes duties, as a brother, a husband, an uncle, or whatever, and that he would grow into those titles, this son, to marry some other sister's daughter, and that he would be obedient just as you would be obedient to your duties. It doesn't mean one is over the other. So speak kind words to your wife, you read into, the duties and everything like that, and you get more of the spirit of it, because there must be a greater respect for womanhood. We just showed you, and the reason he did that is because, they have denied womanhood, or trying to deny the mother in terms of your nationality, because they're dealing with a patriarch to confuse and have you fighting each other. That's my take. And you have something to add? And Ida, are you there? Are you there, Sister Sue?
Oh, I'm here.
Yes,
I'm here.
Oh, okay, Annie. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, did that answer help your inquiry?
Oh, yeah, it did. I was just going to mention that matriarchal. It seems from my studies that it's pointing that was the true nature of life.
Yeah.
Matriarch. And it
still is.
In books I'm reading and everything.
It still is, though.
It still is.
It still is. That's why you go into holy matrimony, not into marriage. So when they talk about matrimony, that's a matriarchal, and it still is, and that's what we have to recognize, that it still is. It's nature's law.
And when I had mentioned to another person at a school setting, and he just closed up when I told him there was matriarchal before it was patriarchal. He just closed up. He didn't even address it.
Well, never say that it is patriarchal, because it never.
It's not patriarchal. Right. Nature and the universe is a matriarchal system. Which the trick on this information is the patriarchy.
It's not patriarchal. That's something that they
made up.
Yes, because nature is a matriarch.
Yes.
All right. That's what women need to. We all need to not go back to, but in our mind, maintain. How about that's a better word? Maintain. Because you can't be in harmony with nature. Patriarch can't happen, because, as we mentioned earlier, they not having any respect for nature. And then even when you go back to Christianity, I did the beginnings of Christianity, and that was another thing that the guy at Staples, he knew that too about Christianity, that it was styled as, a decree of government, and that they say in it, because Jesus didn't start the religion Christianity. Yahshua did not do that. He inspired them to want to be able to express, because Christianity brought them out, was their earthly salvation. It's their salvation, their earthly salvation for them, not you. And you will find that, sister, in chapter 47, Holy Quran. It explains the beginning of Christianity. But then when you do further studies, you know why he said what he said in chapter 46, and that's all a part of the study. If you read what is in there and then you don't delve into and study a little more, then you could be just left parroting what he said, and it might even feel good to your spirit. But until you have it in your knowledge, in your dial plate, so you can recognize it when it's being shot at you, or you're being attacked by the patriarch, for instance, because the reason that Constantine even started Christianity was because they just did it. They started an orthodoxy, and an orthodoxy means a belief, not a knowledge. It's a belief, and that they did it because they wanted to they couldn't really understand the workings of nature. That's so anybody talking about they're Christian, I mean, they need to know that. So with that being said, they right there are telling you they didn't have understanding of nature, and they still do not. They still do not. So when we are to claim our nationality and go back to the mindset of our foremothers and forefathers, then we would never leave. Now we're in tune with nature. And another thing, the new year is in the spring, period, done. That's it. The leaves of the trees come out, the grass gets greener, the flowers bloom. That is the new year. So, and this is a great example of it. We're celebrating it on January 1, which is not the new year with nature. So we're out of what? Tune. So if you're not dealing with the matriarchy and you're dealing with the patriarchy, you are out of tune. There's no diggity, no doubt of that. I mean, you even get matrix from that. And if you read the King Alfred, they talk about the artificial womb, because everything is about the womb from whence you came.
So in essence, the mother has a lot of power that we don't realize she has.
Hello, greater respect for womanhood. Nationality, my sister, in essence, is about bloodline, and you get your blood from your mother, not your father. That says it all. Yes, that's it.
Powerful.
All right.
Thank you.
Now, a nation cannot rise any higher than its women.
So we need to teach our girls a lot of things about their bodies and everything. Astrology.
Women need to. That's right, and women need to do that because the first school room is the womb. So if you already know that, you're passing that through your child subliminally and actually while the child's temple body is being built with the blood that you're pumping through it to build those parts. So the knowledge is with the mother already. It's automatically and intrinsically passed on to the child. And because that's the very first school room. It's the mother's womb, and that cannot be denied, nor will it ever be changed. So this is why mothers need to know. Because she's the first teacher. The very, 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 very first teacher. And the very, very, very first school room is her womb. And so if she doesn't know, then who does she expect to teach that child? And even when the child is born, he's on his mother's breast. Well, I know we don't do breastfeeding, but even a little child is on his mother's breast, going back to the family services that have these sons and little daughters arguing over, oh, that's my child, so therefore the court, these seeming family services give an 18-year-old son the child for his 3 days or 3.5 days of the week. He has no business with an infant that should be on the bosom of the mother. Hell, he wants to be on the bosom of the mother for the rest of his damn life. So in the world, we should be tarred and feathered, as my mother used to say, for even allowing mothers for even allowing that to happen. That's not at all proper, nor good in any way, shape, or fashion. Any way, shape, or fashion. So you got an 18-year-old who decided to have sex at 17, and now these corporations say, oh, we're going to really mess up their family now. He has a right to her egg, and that's his baby. And look, he's 18 years old on the street corner with a damn baby stroller. We should be, that's disgusting. I'm not saying that he can't, push a baby stroller. I'm saying that this is what is being done. So that child is being divided when it should be on the bosom of their mama.
Right.
And even in the Bible, if at 7 years old is when the child cleaves outside of the mother to the father for those external lessons. Why at 7? Science again, because at 7, a child has achieved its reasoning mind. It's able to reason. That's why. And we grow Uranus energy every 7 years. Your bone structure changes. So it's all tied into nature. And you're going to let it take you away from it and then wonder what's wrong with society? That's what's wrong with society. The master architects and the builders, they say they builders, they masons and builders, aren't building with the right stuff because it starts with the mother. All right? That's what it all is indicating. And they are screwing the families up just alone. So, yes, it's the, yes, matriarch never went anywhere. Nature has not changed. Nature will continue to do what it do. And whatever aspects, whatever it gets in its way, it creates aspects for it. And that's what we need to do. The tree will grow around and through the fence before it doesn't grow. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Could I ask you one last question?
Yes.
The ephemeris. Is there different types of ephemeris?
Ephemeris. Ephemeris is nothing but the tracking, like you do when you track planes in the sky. They're tracking. They are also the FAA on the slide. You know, they don't talk about that nor teach it in schools. They're also tracking the planet, and that's what ephemeris is. It's just tracking the movement of the planet, and then what they do with that is they sell that ephemeris to different publishing companies that create ephemerises. So you think they're just up there tracking airplanes. They're not. They're tracking the planet. And that's where you get an ephemeris from.
Well, I was wondering if it was different types of ephemeris.
Well, there could be.
All right. How do I know if we get the right one?
Well, no, there's not different types of ephemeris. Movement is movement. It's just a matter of where you are in relationship to the planets and their movement as it relates to where you are on the Earth. Like, for instance, to simplify it, you could have an ephemeris that simply tracks the moon. And most ephemeris do track the moon. But I'm just saying, so not that there's different types of ephemeris so much as it is, if you're tracking the movement of something, you're tracking the movement of something. You know, I don't know whether, you know, can it be trusted or whatever like that. But if you understand astrology, you know that's why you have the North Star. That's the point. You know, no matter where you are on Earth. All right, that's your point there. So you would know what's moving through the sky. You would know what season you're in based on where you are by what stars or planets or heavenly bodies you can see in the sky at this time of year, because everything is moving. So we didn't use ephemerises before. We, in fact, to tell time, what do we do? You know, you could put up, what do you call it, a sundial. And wherever the shadow is, as it moves, the shadow moves. Tells what time it is, based on the sun. So wherever you are, right.
All right. Well, thank you. I'll still keep studying. Oh, and is Anna Eve still on the phone?
I believe she is.
All right.
Anna Eve? Anna Eve, are you there?
Yep,
the
I'm
question
here.
arising. Yes, she's there.
Oh, all right. I'm still working on trying to. I have a very long, extensive research on a state. Should I cut it down to maybe 1 or 2 pages? For the historical research?
Is that a project you're doing?
Of what estate?
What's the question?
She said, of what is, you're a little muffled, Anna E. She said, of what estate?
Oh, I'm choosing to do near the Corporation of California. But Los Angeles is in there and San Diego, and it's just too long. So how many pages should I?
I don't know what you're talking about, but the estate's not divided.
The only thing that would be relevant is those companies that have interacted or violated your liberties in some way. That's it.
Like, you can't call the companies estates. I'm a little confused. The companies are not estates.
Oh, I was just
That's
saying
why.
the
That's
historical
why I
research.
asked what estate.
Oh, I was saying I was near. You didn't hear the word near when I said it? You said
just
do a
heard
historical.
Estate. Are you saying you are near a state, not a state?
Well, I was doing a historical research, and I was getting information regarding a corporate state.
All right.
But it was a little long to share, so I was wondering maybe two pages would be enough.
Well, who are you going to share it with?
Yeah, who you
Well, that was the homework you gave us.
All right.
That was a while back.
So so you're saying you're going to call in and share it with the list?
Well, yeah, but it's just long, and it's very interesting, and I'm saying, well, wow, we need to know this about the state. I didn't know about the...
It doesn't matter how long it is. It's research.
Oh, really? Oh.
No.
All right.
So what's one of the things you said you didn't know about the state?
You want to know now?
No,
well,
because we only have 10. No, because we only got 10 minutes left before the line goes down.
All right, but,
yeah.
She wanted to know a little something. It was kind of, it was, well, how could I put this? It was a lot I didn't know how it was cleared. I'll put it that way. How the people were cleared out.
They were murdered.
Yes.
They were murdered, right. Oh, yeah. Okay. And lied, and that's the whole thing. Lineal descendants are still here. Rise up, Moors, and claim your seemingly lost estate.
But I think that, like I said, we got like 8 minutes left to the feed. To the broadcast before it goes down. So 8 minutes is not enough time to even say anything. So, what you could do is you can call in on Tuesday broadcast and share that information.
Wednesday book reading is probably better.
Well, no, because Wednesday is going to be specific to what we're reading about.
We just started a new book. Okay. You're right. But now what she also said to you is if there's something that is specific to you that a state, that one of these companies have infringed upon you, that you just need to concentrate on that if that was what you were doing it for, to find out who it was that was violating you. But I understand now that it was a report that you're doing. So we'll hear the report from you at another time. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you for the homework. I needed to know.
All right.
Thank you, ladies.
All right. Peace and love. All right. Well, that concludes this broadcast of Sisters Standing on Law. Make sure and check us out Tuesday for Principles of Nationality in Action, and Wednesday, Moors Heritage and History School Circle of Readers. We'll be back reading our book. Peace and love. Thank you very much.
Islam, peace, and love.
Xfinity Mobile is a new kind of network designed to save you money while streaming your favorite music, like that 90s Jams playlist you've played 72 times today.